Hey everybody, welcome to Expository Dialogue, the show where we take headlines from the world of entertainment and poke holes through them, much like an AI mob in Grand Theft Auto.
I'm Nicholas, the video game correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of Idiomatic.com and movie critic. Well, we got a lot of news to go through, but most of all, I want to start with news about Idiomatic.com, about our site, and about this show. This will be our last episode of Expository Dialogue, unless you guys send us mail saying that you really, really like it, then we'll, of course, maybe relaunch it, because we're whores.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
But the reason why we're shutting down the show after only 5 episodes is that we actually created Expository Dialogue for Phil, whom you guys may remember for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And he's not here.
I know.
And if you guys are wondering where he is, your guess is as good as mine.
Pretty much.
So Phil, if you're listening to this, send us a shout out. Just let us know you're okay. But having said that, it really didn't make sense for us to continue doing it since we have so many other shows on idiomatic.com. We have Don't Fuck With the Original. We got the top 3. So we're going to end this, and what we're going to do next year when 2014 starts is make some of those shows weekly instead of bi-weekly, so that you guys have sort of a more focused stream of shows that you like.
Yippee.
In the meantime, let's get to some proper news about things that are not our own belly buttons.
Yep, those are fun too.
Well, let's start with something horror-related since Halloween is so close to us.
Of course.
Michael Bay wants to self-finance his own horror movie.
Wow. Will he finance it, like put $300 million in it, or is he actually able to do small-budget movies?
Well, he did already do a small-budget movie just this year with Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock.
Okay.
Which was actually good.
Really?
Yeah, and I have a feeling that the thing with Michael Bay is that he's very good at sort of catching what big producers who do big Hollywood blockbusters want, and certainly what the audience for those movies want, because he's making Mad Movie with those. But maybe he's reached a point in his career where he's going like, well, I'm very good at being this extremely commercial director, but maybe it's time I fed a little bit my artistic side. Because certainly Pain and Gain felt like a little bit of a reflection by Michael Bay on Michael Bay movies.
Okay.
Where he was sort of making fun of his own over-the-top style.
I guess giant robots can be pretty artsy if you just look at them.
So far, hasn't been the case,
yeah,
but, you know.
Good point. That'd be interesting to see. I mean, horror is not my thing, but, let's see how the movie does. And, if he's willing to finance it himself as well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think if he wants to finance it himself, it's because he wants full control over it and doesn't want a studio head over his shoulder. And because, let's face it, Michael Bay wants money for a project, Michael Bay can get money for a project.
That's true.
But I think if he wants to self-finance it, it's because he wants no strings attached.
Yeah, good point.
So I'm interested in that. I mean, God knows he's a horror fan. He started Platinum Dunes, which did those horrible remakes of our favorite 80s properties, which in a way is not super encouraging. But but he hasn't directed any of those movies, so I'd be interested to see how he does actually directing them.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on then, I guess.
All right. And about something we talked a few weeks ago.
Yep.
About the auction house in Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
They finally decided to shut it down. They realized, hey, it's killing the game, but they actually dropped the attitude, but it's killing the game, but we're stuck with it. They finally said, yeah, it's killing the game, let's get rid of it. And they're just going to have more drops in the game. So the point of Diablo 3 is like the previous games. You kill monsters and you get drops from them, and that's how you have fun. So great move on the part of Blizzard, realizing that if something doesn't work, get rid of it. Wow, kudos to them.
Yeah, and I have to say, it surprised me when I heard about that from you, actually.
Yeah.
Because it would have taken a lot for anyone to consider those a failure. Because Diablo 3 sold well, which means that it didn't affect the sales of Diablo 3, which it wouldn't have because nobody would know how the auction houses would have affected the game before buying it. But still. And so it was sort of like, unless it's particularly expensive to manage, which I don't see how, even if nobody went to the houses, it would be like, if even one person buys shit there, well, that's $5 you got there that you wouldn't have if you didn't. You know, like, it would take really, really low sales for them to see a loss there.
But where they're seeing the loss, I'm guessing, is it's killing the game, so they're seeing the loss in the expansion that people are not going to buy, and Diablo 4 that people are not going to buy, because their experience is basically just go in the game, get some gold, or, you know, grab your mommy's credit card and buy your gear when the game starts being too hard, you know. So that's not the game people want to play. And they figure, well, you know, people are not going to want to play that in the expansion either. So they're moving away from it.
And if that's the case, I think that's really wise, like you said, because a lot of companies would have waited for the expansion not to sell, or for Diablo 4 not to sell before going like, oh, something's wrong. And they're going like, well, let's fix the problem before that affects our sales for our next product. And, you know, that's forward thinking. You want that in a company. And I feel these days, especially in entertainment companies, we don't get that enough.
That's a good point.
Well, since we were talking about things shutting down, I want to talk about another Halloween-themed story. Eli Roth's Goratorium in Las Vegas is closing down. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Goratorium is, it's sort of a deluxe haunted mansion that he set up in Las Vegas on the Strip. He poured a lot of money in it.
Yeah.
I got a chance to see it.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I got a chance to go to it, and I liked it. Like, I had a lot of fun in it.
I'm sure your girlfriend didn't have you.
Oh, she didn't follow me. She went like, you go ahead, have fun, buddy.
Yeah, that's the problem with those things, though. You only get half the market.
Actually, it's funny. They assemble you in small groups, and the people that were in my group, they were a couple, really nice people. And, you know, the guy managed to drag his girlfriend there.
Oh, nice.
And she was so resentful, which made the experience so much more fun.
Nice.
Because she was like, I hate you, I'm going to kill you for putting me in here. Because this stuff, like the Goratorium, I'm so sad that it's closed because it is genuinely scary. Because they get you in there, it's a haunted house, you go there in a small group, you have a guy that starts talking about how this is a hotel but used to be an asylum and something's off. And then there's a guy who's texting during this time in your group, and the guy starts getting really mad at the guy who's texting, and the guy who's texting go like, what, free country? And so the guy starts killing the guy who's texting, who was an actor all along.
Nice.
And then they open the door and they let you loose in this crazy asylum that looks exactly like you're in a horror movie. Like, it's really well done.
Oh, that's cool.
It was pretty awesome. I'm sad to see it go.
Yeah, there are a lot of things like that just pop up and go in Vegas as well. Like, I remember the Star Trek Experience, which is kind of like that. You pretend you're in Starfleet or something. I remember like the teleporter, where you just dim the light and they pop them back up immediately, and you're in a different room. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But I guess it really has a niche market of, you know, basically for the Star Trek Experience was geeks who like Star Trek. You know, you're not going to drag people who have no knowledge of Star Trek at all in there. And as in the Goratorium, if you're not a horror fan, well, you might go in there just for thrills, depending on the price. But you're not going to go seek it out. Although I would think that, you know, horror is a lot more popular than Star Trek, and Star Trek stayed there for like a couple of years at least.
Yeah, actually, I would think the opposite. I think Star Trek is probably more popular than horror, to be honest. Yeah, I think so, because Star Trek is huge, you know. And you don't have to be a hardcore Star Trek fan to just, I like spaceships and stuff, you know. Whereas horror fans, if you're not a horror fan, you tend to reject the whole thing.
I don't know. I'm not a horror fan, but I like haunted houses. I wouldn't mind being, you know, scared once in a while. I wouldn't go there every day, but, you know, just, hey, this is cool. Let's try it out. You know, I would do it because, you know, that's the only thing you can do in Vegas because I hate gambling. So I would go for a spot like that and like, hey, haunted house. Cool. It's probably better than the haunted house we have here at Six Flags, which is like, so bright that you can see everything coming. It's like, there's going to be a skeleton there. Yeah.
No, that's terrible. No. That stuff was like, it really, like, they built an atmosphere. It wasn't just like, here's a black cardboard corridor with things that go boo. Like, no. You were in an asylum. There were windows, there were walls, there were ceilings, fans, and pipes. Like, it was a real production.
That seems like really cool. Now, when is it closing down? I need to get to Vegas ASAP.
I recommend it, dude. But I think you nailed it earlier when you said depending on the price tag. And I think that's where they went wrong. It is $25 to get in there. It is a maybe 15 to 20-minute experience if you take your sweet time.
Wow.
I think that's where they went wrong. I think if they had just reduced it by $10, $15 price tag, they would have gotten more customers making up for that $10 that you're reducing it. I think in today's Vegas, which is a little bit run down, a little bit like there's so many hotels that have stopped construction midway because of the bubble burst of 2008.
Yeah.
In today's Vegas, you can't get away with charging $25 for a half-hour experience.
I know. I mean, Vegas is going really cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So, and they're really focusing on cheap or free shows. Like, was it Treasure Island that, there's the whole pirate shit that happens, in front that, that's free. And, it's great. It does publicity for the casino. At the Bellagio as well with the water. It's very simple. It's just water, spouts like that. It's free. People like that because they can just walk there and it's like they can see it. So charging $25 for it, that's, it's a little expensive, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing I feel that Eli Roth, as a director and movie producer, should have done is come out with a movie called Goratorium to sort of create publicity and synergy for his new endeavor in that. I think he missed the ball on that one as well.
Yes, that makes sense.
But enough telling people who are much richer and more successful than I how to run their business.
Yep. Well, I'm going to do that. My turn now. Pokemon X and Y, the new Pokemon. It's a huge craze. Pokemon fans are going crazy. Now you can mega evolve your Pokemon. Like Charizard, the last evolutions. You can evolve them even more now. So it's like super exciting for people. It's again a big world. And so it's a huge game. It's going to be a huge hit, obviously, because it's Pokemon. And what I thought was interesting is that Skylander, which is a game that's basically kind of the same concept as Pokemon, except it's with actual figures instead of like video game animals, they decided to release their stuff the same week. Are you allergic to making money or something? What the hell's happening here?
It's not uncommon for companies to do that. Like in TV, they do it all the time. They'd put their biggest show and try to put it at the same time slot as the other network's biggest show to try to dislodge it.
Yeah.
But in TV, it makes sense to me because there's a limited number of time slots. And if another network is dominating a certain time slot, that means whatever show you're putting there is not doing well. Yeah. So you want to own all the time slots, so you put your highest players and you knock down the opponent. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But in a market where it's just people buying stuff and you can release it at different dates and people can buy them at different dates, why do you want to dislodge the other guy? You're hurting your own industry by doing that. Instead, you could both enjoy a really good weekend, but like 2 weekends in a row, you know?
Especially since Pokemon came out like 12th of October.
Yeah.
Release it like 2 months later in the Christmas season. It would be perfect, Perfect for Christmas. People are getting a little bit tired of Pokemon and, hey, look, this is coming out. Perfect for Christmas. And it gets the parents buying it too. I don't get their logic there.
Although, now we know Pokemon is the big dog here. Yeah. And Skylander is the underdog.
Yeah.
But Skylander is the thing that looks more like a toy. It has little figurines that you can put on a plate there. And they're collectibles. They look like figurine toys. That's their thing.
Yeah.
What if their strategy is that all the parents are going to line up to buy the Pokemon thing when it opens, and then they're going to run out, as they do every year.
Yeah.
And then the parents are going to, I got to get something for my kid for Christmas. And go like, that looks like a toy. That looks new. That's a video game. It looks like a Pokemon, sort of. I'm going to get that because it's the next best thing. What if that's what their strategy is?
The strategy is to get the crumbs of the leftover of the other company.
Those are major leftovers, though.
That is true.
We don't know the numbers, but if the leftover numbers are actually higher than their expected numbers, otherwise, it would certainly explain it, especially with Disney's Infinity that came out. That's totally like kicking Skylander in the nads, going like, oh yeah, we can do the same exact thing. Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. We can do the same exact thing, but better because people know our characters, Yeah,
pretty much.
So, good point. Oh my god. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what works and what doesn't. It's too soon now for the numbers. I have no worries for Pokemon at all. Oh. I know that's going to do gangbusters, but Skylander is going to be interesting to see with the new competition and the release at the same time as Pokemon. in the long run, they might, they'll do it. But right now, I don't know if they're aiming for, this quarter's number. I'm not sure it's going to work that well for them.
It'd be interesting to see what it is they're hoping for. Because I can't believe that they're hoping to beat Pokemon. Because that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's never going to happen.
Like, just to give you an idea, people, like, in terms of international sales, at least, like in Japan, in Tokyo, they have Poke Centers left and right in various districts, which are like stores with like crazy Pokemon merchandise, and where kids can also bring their portable like Nintendo DS or Game Boy, whatever, and like plug it to an exclusive arcade machine and sort of evolve their Pokemon and do stuff with their Pokemon. Like, that's how popular Pokemon is, that they can get away with such a business.
Stores specific for that one video game. It's not even a GameStop or something. It's just this store for Pokemon, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, that's it. It's the big dog, no question about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Other story that's bound to get your hair raising, because that's my theme this week.
All right.
There's one. Harrison Ford is in talks for a Blade Runner sequel. Now wait for it.
Okay.
And has stated that he would be in a New York Minute for Indiana Jones Part 5.
That's crazy. First of all, the Blade Runner sequel, he's a little old for that.
Well, the thing is that at least one of the 17th versions of Blade Runner intimated that he's probably a cybernetic being himself.
Yeah.
How does he get old?
Yeah. So if he plays it, they're going to have to change it so that he was not a cybernetic being. Actually, he was just, a regular person, and have him do some detective work again. That he plays a good detective. I'd watch it, and if they manage to make something that's really, really cool looking, which I guess would probably be ruined by CG at this point. I'm really worried about that. I might check it out, but I'm really worried about it being ruined by CG. Honestly, I really like the look of the original Blade Runner, but it was set and was, small scale stuff, and it looked spectacular. It'll look fake on the computer.
Having said that, I think Ridley Scott is going to be directing.
Okay.
And Ridley Scott, who directed the original, of course, has remained, even to this day, a terrific visual director, because he started as a set director.
Yeah.
And he hasn't changed. Like, if you look at Prometheus, his most recent movie, it is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
So I don't think he's lost his touch in terms of visuals. He hasn't fallen into that trap of going all digital without thinking of how it actually looks to the human eye. He has much more care about that. So, truth be told, I'm not that worried about that aspect.
That makes sense.
I'm just tired of directors sort of reminding their old stories. I wonder if it's really worth revisiting Blade Runner that much.
Now, Indiana Jones 5, my guess is he just wants to do it so that Shia LaBeouf doesn't take his spot as Indiana Jones. That's all there is. Because he hates LaBeouf. So...
Well, he told him off. I don't know how much he hates him.
He told him off, but still, it's...
Because, Harrison Ford has a history of picking fights with everybody as well, so...
That's true.
And including George Lucas, so at least you can tell that he doesn't hold a grudge.
Yeah.
But George Lucas and Harrison Ford had their falling out as well. So, I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm less concerned about how much Harrison Ford hates Shia LaBeouf's performance in Indiana Jones 4 as much as how much I hated Shia LaBeouf's performance in Indiana Jones 4. I really don't want to see Mutt Williams ever again.
Maybe he won't be in there.
Hopefully. All right, let's move on.
All right. I'm going to talk a little bit here and put myself on my high horse here. Grand Theft Auto 5 came out.
It's gay?
No.
Not in that sense. Okay.
No. But with that also came, a bunch of, YouTube movies of parents giving Grand Theft Auto 5 to their, 10-year-old kids, and the kids being super excited.
No.
It's rated M for a reason, okay? It has people shooting people. It features, you run over people with your car. You meet up with hookers and have sex.
Oh, it glorifies every aspect of crime. That's sort of the point of Grand Theft Auto.
Don't give that to your kids. Seriously. It's so weird to me that, not only you're giving it to your kids, but you're filming yourself being a bad parent by giving it to your kid. It's like, oh my god, what are you guys doing?
For the record, we're not saying that Grand Theft Auto is a game that should be banned. Like, if you're one of the people playing it, that's fine. But we assume you're an adult. Like, the thing is, like, there is such a thing as things for kids and things for adults. And what we're objecting to is not the game. It's the fact that people don't seem to realize that this game is explicitly made for an adult sensibility. Yeah. It's full of irony. It's like, how many wrong things can you do at the same time is the point of the game.
Exactly. At least, there are a lot of stories of, parents going with their kids trying to buy the game and people at the GameStop or the store saying, no, that's a mature game. It's not for your kid. And kids really being really, really pissed about it. But parents, saying, yeah, okay, thank you. It's not that hard. If there's a rating system for every game. M is for mature. But, again, like we said, we're not against Grand Theft Auto 5 at all. It's a fine game for adult. And even the company did something great because it's an online game as well now. And, of course, every online game has a terrible launch because the servers are not ready or there's not enough server. There's always extra traffic.
Yeah, and they can't test these things until the server goes live, so a lot of times when the game opens, that's when they can see where the bugs is going to happen. Yeah. And of course the bug does happen.
Exactly. So, to compensate for that, they gave every player, $500,000 in in-game cash. Not real cash, in-game cash. So you get $500,000 so you can buy a cool car, cool other stuff in the game. Which is, I think, the first time I've ever heard of a game company compensating players for their crummy launch, which is like, wow, I'm flabbergasted that they actually did that. Wow, kudos to you guys. I know World of Warcraft, since you pay and they have crummy launches, they give you, okay, you can play for a day, we'll give you an extra day, which is fine because it's what you pay for. You pay for a month subscription, you didn't get a month, it's fine for them. But, they never really compensate you in-game for it, you couldn't get stuff in-game. They're just like, okay, we messed up. Here's $500,000. Enjoy. It's like, wow, this is, something other games need to follow. It's like, yeah, it really helps,
Well, what it does is gives an incentive for people to buy the game on the first week. The next, like, Grand Theft Auto 6 on the first week as well. And that matters a lot to a game's performance in terms of how the quarter is going to look for them and everything. And because right now the problem with the server things is that it's an incentive not to get the game when it comes out.
That's true.
And so it compensates for that. I think it's a smart move because I don't think they'll ever be able to fix the problem that you can't test the server until the server's live.
Exactly, unless you have a beta. But then with a beta, it kind of ruins the going because you have beta copies gearing out everywhere, and it ruins the big launch surprise thing. So yeah, you have to do what you have to do, and even beta testing, you never get the huge volume that you get in a regular launch. So yeah, I think it's great, like you said, it really compensates for that.
We just talked about a game that we really don't think kids should have, so I'm going to talk about a game that kids should feel free to have. It's Angry Birds, the catapult game with cute little birds that destroy pigs. Makes no sense to me, which is why kids are going to love it.
Of course.
But they're coming out with a movie.
Wow, that's weird. What is that movie going to be about? Is it going to be like The Birds, except with exploding birds? It's exactly Birdemic. There we go.
I'm actually concerned it's going to be a little bit like Toy Soldiers or something like that. Like this completely generic children's story where a bunch of kids who are bullied at school or whatever is their fucking problem meets these birds from outer space who are like, might as well be the Smurfs for all I care.
Yeah.
And go like, oh, we have to stop the evil pigs from our planet too. Okay, I'll help you, little birds. I'm so concerned it's going to be that crap.
Yes, I know I say this a lot in these podcasts, but bullying is huge right now, so it's going to be about bullying. You were right about that. And there's going to be a sub-story where the Angry Birds teaches the other kids that, our hero is pretty cool and you should not bully them, And since our hero has talking birds as friends, the other kids are going to, well, you're cool too then, I guess, so you're part of the group now, and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be... Yeah, this really seems like, a cash-in more than anything.
Well, yeah, it's just I keep thinking about it, and that's the only freaking story you can make with the Angry Bird franchise that Hollywood would be interested in doing at the very least. And it's a terrible story. Like,
Yeah.
it's really bad. They keep making that same story over and over again.
I don't know. We were shocked when, Pirates of the Caribbean had an actual story to it. We were like, what are you going to do with a ride? Come on. It's a Disney ride. What story can they attach to that? And they surprised us,
That is true.
So Angry Bird, maybe they'll go complete swerve, something we didn't even think about,
Gore Verbinski's Angry Birds.
Oh, God. Well, speaking of movies, I have another movie of my own that comes from a video game as well. There has been announced, December 2015, the World of Warcraft movie. And I would be so excited if this was 2008, but it's not. So I don't care, really. I think they really passed their prime, really. WoW was huge like 3 to 4 years ago. That's when it was at its peak. That's when you needed the movie, like the tie-in. Now the numbers are declining, especially in North America. I don't know what's going to happen to that.
Well, first off, my personal interest in it is zilch because it has dragons and stuff, and I disconnect every time there's dragons and stuff. Like Lord of the Rings, I didn't get into Dungeons and Dragons, but apparently no one else did.
There was no dragons in Lord of the Rings.
There was like the Balrog, same thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's totally different, and this is why. Okay, hang out, guys, for 15 minutes while I explain the difference.
So we cut Nick explaining the difference, and I didn't care. So that's what it comes down to. So, like, in terms of personal interest, I couldn't possibly care less. But having said that, yes, you're right. It is probably past its prime. At the same time, like, I think that the people who used to like World of Warcraft and sort of disconnected over the years, mostly because of issues with the way Blizzard Entertainment has been managing the franchise, are still going to be interested in the mythology of it and are still going to go see the movie even though they stop playing the game, even if out of nostalgia.
Okay.
So I think in terms of the movie itself, it's not a net loss or anything like that. Yeah. Having said that, I do agree with you that you're losing out on synergy at the very least,
Yeah. It is true that Blizzard had that project going on for a very long while, but they didn't want, to rush it, to screw it up, make like Super Mario Brothers or something like that. But I think eventually you kind of have to come to an agreement with, okay, I'm going to come out with a movie while the game is relevant, as opposed to, when it's too late to make the game that people have kind of moved on though. So I don't know. It really depends. I would check out the preview and see where it goes. If they do kind of an origin story, well, I kind of know those stories, so I would totally not be interested in. If they do like a continuation of where the game is, I don't really like that because it's not fair to people who just want to play the game. All of a sudden, you're like, okay, now you're at this point of the game, go see the movie, come back, and you'll get where we're at after this. It's kind of weird. So I hate it when they come out with World of Warcraft novels to explain certain things in the game. It's like, I'm not reading a book. That's why I play video games, because I don't want to read books. So it's just weird to me.
Wow!
Can't wait, for 50 Shades of Grey the game. That's going to be awesome.
That's why synergy is easy to talk about, but actually very difficult to achieve, because it takes time to make a movie, and it takes time to make a movie that's actually good. And God, Lord knows, like, video game franchises have not had the best of luck with those.
That's true.
So you can understand wanting to take your time and trying to get the right thing, but like while you're trying to figure that out, time is passing by and your window of opportunity is slowly closing.
Yes.
The synergy is a tough thing to achieve, is what it comes down to.
As much as I laugh at Angry Bird, at least Angry Bird is big now, so they're coming out, okay, let's make a movie now. Okay, that makes sense. As long as they start coming out with a few more games to keep it relevant, it's going to be very relevant when the movie comes out. World of Warcraft, I think, we're going to see. It might have the nostalgia factor, you're right, so it might still do pretty good. And depending on the budget, maybe it doesn't need to do that good.
True. But what I want most of all, though, for it is for it to be a movie that stands on its own and doesn't really necessarily need the fans of World of Warcraft and just happens to be a good movie.
Yes, that would be important.
you know.
But then, again, you have to go to the backstory, which might not be that interesting to fans of World of Warcraft. So I don't know where they're going with this. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. That's it for us then.
Yep.
That was our last episode until further notice.
Yeah.
So if you want to write us, post your comments, share with us what you think of the news of this week, or to let us know that you're okay with us finishing the series and are looking forward to other shows and have suggestions, by all means. Or if you want to tell us that you actually still want to see us do this shtick of surfing the internet and telling us what we've read on it.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Pretty much.
Let us know at mail@idiomatic.com or post a comment at idiomatic.com. We're also on Facebook, we're also on Twitter, we're also on iTunes. And we will see you on another show.
That's a great way of putting it.
Director, but maybe it's time I fed a little bit my artistic side. Because certainly Pain and Gain felt like a little bit of a reflection by Michael Bay on Michael Bay movies.
Okay.
Where he was sort of making fun of his own over-the-top style.
I guess giant robots can be pretty artsy if you just look at them.
So far, hasn't been the case,
Yeah,
but,
Good point. That'd be interesting to see. I mean, horror is not my thing, but, let's see how the movie does. And, if he's willing to finance it himself as well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think if he wants to finance it himself, it's because he wants full control over it and doesn't want a studio head over his shoulder. And because, let's face it, Michael Bay wants money for a project, Michael Bay can get money for a project.
That's true.
But I think if he wants to self-finance it, it's because he our own belly buttons.
Yep, those are fun too.
Well, let's start with something horror-related since Halloween is so close to us.
Of course.
Michael Bay wants to self-finance his own horror movie.
Wow. Will he finance it, put $300 million in it, or is he actually able to do small-budget movies?
Well, he did already do a small-budget movie just this year with Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg and The Rock.
Okay.
Which was actually good.
Really?
Yeah, and I have a feeling that the thing with Michael Bay is that he's very good at sort of catching what big producers who do big Hollywood blockbusters want, and certainly what the audience for those movies want, because he's making mad movie with those. But maybe he's reached a point in his career where he's going well, I'm very good at being this extremely commercial that wants no strings attached.
Yeah, good point.
So I'm interested in that. I mean, God knows he's a horror fan. He started Platinum Dunes, which did those horrible remakes of our favorite 80s properties, which in a way is not super encouraging, but but he hasn't directed any of those movies, so I'd be interested to see how he does actually directing them.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, moving on then, I guess.
All right, and about something we talked a few weeks ago.
Yep.
About the auction house in Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
They finally decided to shut it down. They realized, hey, it's killing the game, but they actually dropped the attitude, but it's killing the game, but we're stuck with it. They finally said, yeah, it's killing the game, let's get rid of it. And they're just going to have more drops in the game. So the point of Diablo 3 is like the previous games.
Hey everybody, welcome to Expository Dialogue, the show where we take headlines from the world of entertainment and poke holes through them, much like an AI mob in Grand Theft Auto.
I'm Nicholas, the video game correspondent for Idiomatic.
And I am Dimitri, editor-in-chief of idiomatic.com and movie critic. Well, we got a lot of news to go through, but most of all, I want to start with news about idiomatic.com, about our site, and about this show. This will be our last episode of Expository Dialogue, unless you guys send us mail saying that you really, really like it, then we'll, of course, maybe relaunch it, because we're whores.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
But the reason why we're shutting down the show after only 5 episodes is that we actually created Expository Dialogue for Phil, whom you guys may remember for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And he's not here.
I know.
And if you guys are wondering where he is, your guess is as good as mine.
Pretty much.
So Phil, if you're listening to this, send us a shout out. Just let us know you're okay. But having said that, it really didn't make sense for us to continue doing it since we have so many other shows on idiomatic.com. We have Don't Fuck With the Original. We got the top 3. So we're going to end this, and what we're going to do next year when 2014 starts is make some of those shows weekly instead of bi-weekly, so that you guys have sort of a more focused stream of shows that you like.
Yippee.
In the meantime, let's get to some proper news about things that are not